Hey, how's it going out there? It's AG Surfer back with another vid, and this time I'm going to show off a couple of CGC books. I'm going to do a comparison between CGC and I just got my CBCS book back that I submitted back in January when I went to Portland Comic Con. I had a CBCS book that I purchased already slabbed. I won it in an auction, and the comic book shifted within the encapsulation due to faulty plastics. And again, CBCS knew about this. It was on their website. They, came out and admitted that, hey, we ordered some materials that weren't up to our standards, and the comic books had moved within the encapsulation process. And they were talking about refunds and everything, and they would stand behind their product, and they definitely did. These guys, it was cool. It was very cool meeting these guys for the first time at a Comic Con, and they were just a class act. I was kind of bummed I didn't get around to submitting any comic books to them. I did my submissions all through CGC. I'm sure there was a few that I submitted to CGC that I was thinking, hey, if I got around to it, I wanted to do a little bit CGC, do a few for CGC and do a few on CBCS. But unfortunately, I didn't get around to that. I figured I'd like to, at least turn my book in and see how it gets handled and the whole process of it. And I got to tell you, these guys did a phenomenal job. It's early March now, so it's only been like a month and a half or so. I didn't expect the book to come back this quick. And it's just one comic, but still, they handled it really fast. And it was Amazing Spider-Man. I'll show it. It's the 9/11 tribute comic. I had it in other videos. It's a 9/4, but after it moved and shifted around within the encapsulation, it wasn't a 9/4. It was a little damaged. Being an all-black cover and all. And as the guys from CBCS stated, they were like, "Hey, we'll try to press the book, fix it. If that doesn't really pan out, we'll get you a 9/4. You're just gonna get a brand new 9/4 or whatever." And so I was totally stoked. These guys were phenomenal. And the thing was, I turned the book in and I gave them all my information, but I was so caught up with the Comic Con and everything. I just totally didn't even think about getting any of their information. I think I just grabbed a flyer or something, but I didn't get any information from those gentlemen that were at the CBCS table. So only until I got home or later on I realized, wait a minute, what information did I get from these guys? So I was kind of freaking out a little bit, and so I gave them a call. I gave CBCS a call, or just emailed them, and they responded to me really quick. And the guy, they were talking, we're talking back and forth for a couple of days, but they got back with information to me really quick based on this comic book that I turned in. And I kind of knew that, maybe they hadn't received the comic book yet because some guys are still on the road or something. But just, I don't know, man, very impressed. Just a great company, and I think they're going to, it's just good competition with them, I think, in CGC. And I really do enjoy CGC, don't get me wrong. They're one, that's the one I started with. My buddy got me when my buddy got me in encapsulating comic books. That was back in 2013 for the first time, encapsulating comic books and putting a grade on them and all this and that. And again, for CBCS, they've got a great website. Their fees are a little lower than CGC. These guys, CBCS, were actually like the founding fathers / members of CGC. They kind of helped start the CGC company up way back when, and got them into the comic book grading system. So they decided to go off, years later they decided to go off, I guess, and establish their own comic book grading system. So I think it's cool. It's healthy. It's going to help out a lot of us collectors and give us choices. I know there's other grading companies out there, PGX being another one, and I might talk about them a little bit more in detail or whatever with what I have. But again, I've never submitted a book to CBCS. I've only purchased a book, one slabbed book, and I had an issue with it, and I anticipated possibly having an issue with it, but unfortunately I did. But these guys handle it phenomenal, and so I can't wait to really submit some books to these guys. Do a couple here and there, and see how those turn out, because I'm really impressed with the one I just got. So with that being said, I'll show off this nice CGC. Graded it a 9/8. It's a nice Spidey. done by Todd McFarlane, or Todd McFarlane, but I'd say Todd McFarlane. I like Todd McFarlane. Okay, and so that's one. Let's get into this. I'll show you. Here's a second one. Same comic. So I have two of those bad boys. And, that's also graded at a 9.8. But you can see the difference between, CGC, the two CGC books. This one's not in the plastic that they arrive in, and that one is just a plastic bag. So you can see how cloudy it is, but the bag's just there to keep the case from getting scratched. Protect your casing a little bit. Don't get it scratched and scuffed. So I usually, obviously, you take them out and you see how good they look. But you want those bags because when you're, putting the comics up against each other, when you're, putting them in your comic book boxes, you don't want, you want to have a little plastic film in between your comics. So that's what that's all about. Just keeping them looking a little cleaner. So 2.98s, not too shabby. So let me get into that CBCS book. I just got back and I showed it off in other vids. It's the only one I have. It's the Volume 2 Amazing Spider-Man issue 36. I'm going to try to hold this at a weird angle because with this black, it almost bounces back and shows me, and I don't really want to be in the vid. But yeah, Amazing Spider-Man issue number 36, CBCS. And they put almost like a Mylar or a MyLite type of bag over their encapsulation. So it's kind of cool. And as you can see, man, it's a 9.6, so I was totally stoked and blown away. I mean, he sent me the email stating that they had a hard time, I guess, locating or finding a 9.4, that they just had some 9.6s, I guess, lying around, and I got a 9.6. So, I mean, just, hey, man, every little half point or every little point counts in my book. So, I mean, giving me a 9.6, and again, all this was, I didn't pay for anything. I didn't pay for shipping, nothing. They took care of all of that. That's a class act, because I could have easily have paid for shipping to have this thing shipped back to my house or whatever, or paid. I didn't know, because they didn't ask for anything when I turned the book in at the table. And so I was kind of like, again, I was kind of freaking out. I was like, oh, they got my information, but I don't really have theirs as far as the gentleman I actually spoke with and everything like that. So, but you can see the heading's a little different. It's just formatted differently up the top compared to CGC. But again, very cool. And CBCS, man, they're off to a great start. Give them a chance if you haven't. I think I think the encapsulation, the boxes, they might be a little more noisy or whatever, but just a great comic book. I think grading company to really go doing what they're doing. So, but that's that one. That's the CBCS, and I probably want to set this one down. But as you can see, man, I think it's just I'll take it out and I'll do I'll try to do a side-by-side comparison with the CGC. Alright, but I'll set this one away. Black covers, man. You can see who's in the video. Alright. So, with that, let me break out. I have another one. Another Spidey. Alright, this one's the gold one. So, excuse me. It's the gold one, man. Also a 9.8. So I have the silver one. It's just somewhere. And I have the silver one packed away somewhere. And I also have a platinum, but my platinum isn't graded. And I assume I have a platinum copy of this. My platinum may, I want to say it may come back a 7. It's at least a 6. But it may come back a 7. Alright. So, the one book I want to show off, which has never been in a vid before, but I've had it for, I don't know, over a year, was a book I've also won in an auction. Again, like a year ago, I won this book in an auction. It's my first PGX book. Again, no submission. Just purchased it. It's probably a company I don't feel comfortable submitting books to PGX. Just based on a track record. I assume they might be getting better as a company. They're probably, doing better things. But as my buddy that's been collecting just as long as I have, but was well into this and did a lot of research about encapsulation, has just stated, hey man, you get what you pay for. And yeah, PGX does cost less, I believe, than CGC. But when things happen, they happen, And they haven't really had a lot of issues with CGC, a lot of negative feedback, where PGX is kind of like a roller coaster. And I hate, and I'm probably might upset some folks and with that, but again, that's just my opinion. I say, if you want to try give PGX a shot, you want to give CGC a chance, want to give CBCS a chance, hey, that's cool, man, because everyone's experience is going to be different. But again, I just don't feel comfortable with that. So I'll purchase books that are already encapsulated by those companies, but I don't know that I'll do a submission. That's the real key. You just have to be happy with what you've purchased and what you do. So enough of my yammering on. Here's my first and only PGX book that I purchased. All right. Yeah, that's what that is, man. Love that book. Great book. First Ra's al Ghul, or Ra's al Ghul. I think it's Ra's. You hear it pronounced some different ways. Ra's al Ghul, man. First appearance, done by Neil Adams. And I was very tempted to crack it open and get Neil's signature on it. Eventually I will, but I'm in no rush. Neil seems to come to quite a bit of Comic Cons that I go to in my area, or I've traveled and met Neil. Neil seems to hit the circuit pretty good. So again, I'm in no rush for this one to crack it open. But yeah, again, PGX, and it's graded at an 8.0. So yeah, Batman 232. It's got this. They're saying PGX is giving it a grade of an 8.0. They're saying white pages. So to be honest, I don't know. I'll either do it through CGC or obviously mine or CBCS. So, but yeah, I'll do a comparison. You'll see how thick. I mean, look how thick this one is, the CGC. And then you got your PGX. PGX is very thick, and then CGC seems to be the angles are probably bad. CGC seems to be a little thinner, but of course height. CGC is still pretty tall. The PGX is a little shorter, but PGX is a little thicker. Let's see if I can get this going with my hands just right. Let's see. And let me break out that let me reach over and grab that CBCS. I could take the plastic off. I'll just leave it on. Let me take it out. Alright, sorry about that, guys. The video is going a little longer than I anticipated. And even a little taller. So it's they're kind of, I think the CBCS is just a little taller than the CGC, and of course it's taller than the PGX. I would give PGX being the shortest book in height. Then you've got CGC in the middle, and now CBCS right is the tallest. But CBCS is about as thick as the CGC. PGX though is thicker, so it's probably one of the thicker comics. And based on, and that Batman book isn't a thick Batman book, so it's just they use a thicker encapsulation, which isn't a bad thing. PGX, I mean your book is better protected or whatever. But there you can see the difference in height, And again, this doesn't affect. You get one of those CGC boxes. All three of these sizes will fit. It's all good with a CGC box, or CGC box. Yeah, they're CGC boxes. Or in this case now, it's CBCS and PGX boxes. They'll all fit in that type of box for your books. So with that, I'd like to thank you folks for tuning in and checking my vid out. Really appreciate it. And there's a lot of new folks out there, I believe, in YouTube now. And hey, hats off to them, and